Hello guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video here on my channel. Yesterday I was sitting down and actually reflecting on this topic and on my journey. I couldn't help myself but to write down everything that I want to say today in this video because I don't want to miss anything. I want to give you the whole picture of what it looked like for me to have acne for over 10 years. I went from this to this. And let me tell you, it was a battle. And for everybody struggling with acne and unclear skin right now, trust me, you don't have to fight this battle forever. There is a solution. And yes, me as well, at a certain point, I was getting hopeless and I almost started to be okay with it because I thought this is going to be something I have to deal with for the rest of my life. But yeah, like I said, it has been 10 years for me. I think it started like when I was 12, something like that. And now I'm 23. And even last year, I struggled as well with acne. I struggled every single year for the past 10 years with this topic, and it sucked the life out of me, let me tell you this. So today I sit here and I think I have the solution and I will never ever have to suffer with it again because I think I have resolved the deep rooted issue. Yeah, let's start with what it felt like for me, and I think a lot of people who have acne and struggle with this as well can relate so much. So I can remember I always struggled with it and it always bothered me, but at one point it got so bad because I got off of birth control. So that's when it was the worst ever and I was feeling so uncomfortable. And I can remember at one point I was waking up in the morning and the first thing I did is look in the mirror. One day I was just sitting there looking at myself, feeling so ugly and uncomfortable in my own skin that I started to cry just because of how I look. So I decided I would cover every single mirror in my room and would not look myself anymore in the mirror. That's how bad it got for me. And as well, at that point, I not only had acne on my face, but also on my back and on my chest. So I didn't even wear anything exposing anymore. Like I always covered my chest and my back. So I was feeling clearly very, very uncomfortable in my skin. I can remember I never truly thought that I'm pretty and that I look good because as soon as I removed the makeup, I saw the actual reality, how I look like, and I really didn't like it. And even when I was wearing makeup, I still didn't feel very comfortable because you can see it through when somebody has acne or bad skin, even if you're very, very good at makeup like I became over the years. Like sometimes friends ask me how I could cover some spots so good, and I'm like, well, I practiced for the last 10 years. You could say that's a positive thing. Yeah, so I never ever went outside the door without makeup, and there were very, very few people who saw me without makeup. It was my family, and I can remember a few friends, or not even a few, like one friend who saw me without makeup. And at one point I even had a boyfriend, now my ex-boyfriend, and he was working a night job, so he would sometimes come home to me very, very late. And I can remember I was putting an alarm on my phone to wake up before he comes, to put on makeup, and like natural makeup that it seems like I don't have any makeup on. But yeah, I was so uncomfortable in my own skin that I wouldn't even show myself without makeup to my boyfriend. I think that's very sad and very looking back at it, it really breaks my heart, to be honest. And also this constant covering up of your face and not showing your true self and who you are, even if it's superficial, it makes something inside of you. For me, now in my adult life, I have a very hard time opening up to people and showing people my true self and being myself in front of people. I really struggle with that, and as I reflected yesterday, I thought to myself, well, I was practicing it the whole time. I felt like I need to hide myself because it's only pleasurable to look at me when I cover myself and when I hide myself, and that only few people would accept me without it. So yeah, I think it correlates a lot. And also always thinking when people speak with me and they don't look in my eyes, I always thought that people would look at my skin when they talk to me. Like they would look in my eyes and then they would look down and look in my eyes again. And I always thought that they look at my skin and internally judging. And I always preferred people saying it. Like at one point I started to say like, yeah, I have acne, like don't make it a secret, like don't try to I didn't try to hide it anymore at one point, so that I would feel more comfortable saying it out loud, that people acknowledge it and see the reality. And like I told you with my ex-boyfriend, I was feeling very uncomfortable in that situation. And I can remember before that and even after that, I was always avoiding getting into a romantic relationship with a man. Like I never wanted that to happen, because always the first thought that came up in my mind in every situation, well, but what about my skin? I can't have a boyfriend because then he will sleep at my place or I will sleep at his place. And eventually I will have to uncover my face and show myself without makeup to him. So that was one reason why I always avoided romantic relationships. I feel like this very thing kind of determined and dictated my life so much in the past. And till this day, I have scar tissues still. Like sometimes I can't even grab it that it's the reality now, that my acne is not here anymore. And I'm so grateful for it. And as well, I can remember at the time where it was the worst. Like I told you, when I got off the birth control, I started to get into a sales business. So I needed to go on sales call with people on a daily basis. And I can remember I was avoiding sales calls. Like I was canceling some calls sometimes because I thought to myself, I can't put on makeup every single day, because when I put on makeup, my skin conditions get even worse. Every single decision was based on my skin. Yeah, so basically I was avoiding every single situation that would harm my skin in any form. So yeah, I think a lot of people who also struggle with it can relate a lot with what I just said, and maybe give those people who never had it a little bit of perspective what it feels like for someone to have acne. But next, I want to give you a very good insight on how I tried to fix my skin over the past 10 years. And let me tell you, if you tell me anything, trust me, I tried it. I tried it all. I would have went miles. I would have paid anything just to fix my skin. I can remember at one Christmas, my mom asked me what I want for Christmas, like what present I want her to gift me. And I just told her, to be honest, I don't want anything but a clear skin. And she looked me in the eyes and told me, that's not something she can give me. Yeah, it really breaks my heart thinking back at it. Yeah, today is a day where I hope I can help a lot of people. Like, yes, I want to help a lot of people, but even if it just only helps one person, I'm so happy, because I know what it means for somebody to not have this issue anymore. And I know what it feels like to have it and to struggle with it. Yes, phase 1, I would call it. The phase 1 of every single thing I tried. So I will just read it a little bit, because it's just a list of a lot of things I tried. So I tried every possible cream, like every possible cream. I bought so many things. Looking back at it, I don't even want to know how much money I spent on me trying to get rid of my acne. I don't want to know. Creams, serums, face scrubs, chemical peelings, masks. Also tried birth control. Well, I didn't get the birth control because of my skin, but the gynecologist, he subscribed me the birth control pill because he was asking me what I struggle with, and I was also saying like my skin issues, and he said, okay, then just take the birth control pill. So I did, but it really didn't help me at all, to be honest. For a lot of people, the conditions of the skin get much better, and they get rid of the acne completely when they are on birth control. But for me, that was not the case. And looking back at it, I'm very glad that was not the case, because I knew one person that was very much depending even on birth control, because they were so afraid of getting off birth control and having acne. I also tried homeopathic tablets. Yeah, so homeopathic medicine. And at one point I also tried antibiotics. I took, I think, for 6 months. I can't remember anymore. I think like it was for a long time. I can remember that I was taking antibiotics every single day. And remind you, I grew up not taking any crazy medicine. Like, my mom raised me only with homeopathic medicine. Yeah, it was crazy that just all of a sudden my body got fat with a ton of antibiotics. Yeah, looking back at it, it was no wonder for me that after that my skin conditions even got worse, because it completely ruined my gut. So yeah, I got onto antibiotics. My skin for the first time got so clean, like never before. I had so clean skin, I can remember, during that time. But as soon as I stopped taking the antibiotics, everything came back. Everything. I was so sad and so disappointed. Then also at one point I took a very harsh medicine. It's called Ciscotan, and you get it from the pharmacy. And actually I was thinking about it if I should take it, because it's a very harsh medicine, and one of the conditions is that you can not get pregnant in any circumstance. Like, they warn you to not get pregnant, because when you get pregnant during taking this medicine, then it's a very high probability for your child to be handicapped or you having a miscarriage. But in the end, I thought I would do anything just for a clear skin, so I did it. And my skin again got very good. I had very clear skin, but as soon as I stopped taking it, everything came back again. Yeah, and I think that was after getting off the birth control. So I got off the birth control, and then my skin got the worst it has ever been, and then I took that medicine the Ciscotan pill. During that period, I tried different things. I even tried ointments and tinctures from the pharmacy. I can remember the homeopathic doctor I went to since I was little was referring me to a lot of tinctures and ointments from the pharmacy. And I even went to the dermatologist and they recommended me also specific makeup I need to use that my skin gets better or not gets worse at least. And I can remember at the time, at the beginning of my acne journey, of my skin journey, I did a lot of steam baths. So I took a pot and I put hot boiling water in it, and then I put a towel over my head and let all the steam pull all the dirt out of my skin and all the bacteria. Then as well, I also was going to the tanning salon a lot, and that helped me, to be honest, a little bit. I felt like the heat and the sun in the sunbed was improving my skin, but I can remember still I was so afraid to go to the salon because I was so afraid that anybody would see me there without makeup. So I went there with makeup. Then I put off the makeup to go in the sunbed. But then after that, even when Corona was over and we didn't have to wear masks anymore, I put on a mask because most of my acne was always here, just so people don't see me or see my acne. Crazy, I know. Yeah, I never touched my face ever with unclean hands. I needed to wash my hands, and after that, as soon as I touched something, I needed to wash my hands again before I touched my face. I never ever squeezed my pimples. I always only use clean towels and like paper tissues to clean my face. I was avoiding sun at one point as well and using sunscreen every day because I heard somebody say that sun is bad for your skin and causes even more acne and pimples. I also tried to dry out my skin because I felt like when I dry out my skin, then the pimples dry out as well. Yeah, in that phase one, I also can remember I had such a crazy morning and evening skincare routine. Like, I used a ton of products. I bought so many products and I put every single thing in a specific order on my skin. When I went to bed, I always made sure that I lay here on my pillow and not my pillow touching my face. Now let's get to the second phase of my skin journey where I started getting introduced to the saying that acne and all skin issues are the result of gut issues. In the end, looking back, yes, that's right, but I didn't know how to solve my gut issues. And I didn't know that even my gut issues were correlated with my hormonal issues, with my hormonal imbalance. Because remind you, I always struggled with my period as well. I never had a regular period. So what that means actually that I never really had balanced hormones. So what I did in my second phase, I would say, is I was switching up my makeup. I didn't use oil-based makeup anymore and water-based makeup, so that helped me a little bit and made me feel a little bit better when I put makeup on my face because I knew that it's not as bad. I also tried fasting in sync with the cycle because at that time I also tried to get a regular period and get my period back again because I sometimes went even month or even a year without my period. So I wanted to get my period back. So I started to fast in sync with my cycle, because I heard that in a book that you can get your period back when you pretend that you are in the specific phases you are when you go through your cycle. So I tried that. I got my period back again, and thought at that time as well that maybe this is also good for my skin. So I started to understand hormones and started to understand what we need in each phase of the cycle. At that time, I thought that's the key. That's what matters. I also started to not eat any processed food anymore. I started to eat only organic food and lots of vegetables, I can remember, lots of greens, and also lots of fruit, but not as many fruit. Like, I was very heavy on the vegetables, and I can remember I was not eating a lot of fish or meat or dairy as well. At one point, I stopped eating any pasture-raised dairy and only raw dairy, but raw dairy not so often because it's very hard to find raw dairy. So that's what I stopped. Yeah, overall, I thought that it's good to eat a lot of anti-inflammatory foods like berries, for example. So I ate a lot of berries. Then I started to get into loose leaf tea. So I started to mix my own tea and drink that also every day. Yeah, then I started to drink no more tap water anymore. I only drank glass bottle water, spring water, and overall drinking lots of water. Then I started to use water filters as well. So the water with which I cleanse my skin would be filtered from any harmful and toxic substances. Yeah, that I would say helped me a lot, to be honest. And I started to avoid seed oils as well to the best of my ability. I started sunbathing again and not avoiding the sun anymore. I realized that it's very helpful for me also to go into the ocean and have my skin exposed and drowned into salt water, but in Austria, where I lived before, that was not the case very often, only when I went on holiday. So one thing that was also very revolutionizing for me was red light therapy. So I bought a red light and was doing red light therapy like 20 or 30 minutes every day in the evening before I went to bed. I started only using silk head cushion covers. I started to go to the sauna whenever I got the chance to. Whenever there was a sauna, I made sure that I went because I felt like that was improving my skin as well very much. I also started microneedling and doing it by myself, but at that time my skin was not clear enough to do it on a regular basis, so that was very inconsistent as well, because when you have a lot of acne and a lot of pimples, it's important to not do the microneedling on the pimples, because then you spread all the bacteria over the whole face and you get exposed to the possibility of getting even more pimples. And at one point I got even so crazy that I started to manifest it every day in the morning or in the evening. Yeah, every day in the evening. I had a morning routine and an evening routine. And in the evening, I always wrote down what I'm thankful for. And I started to write down every single day that I'm thankful to have a beautiful, clear skin. But I didn't. I was sitting there with bad acne and writing that down. So yeah, I even tried that. Yeah, but the second phase was all about not drying out my skin anymore, but hydrating my skin. So that switched, and that was a good switch, because even to this day, I think that it's very, very important to keep your skin hydrated instead of drying it out. What also changed was that my skincare routine was with as little products as possible instead of using a ton of products. So yeah, that wraps up all the things I tried to solve the issue. And now we get to the important part of what actually made a difference in my skin and what solved my skin issues completely. So like I told you, even last year I struggled with my skin, even though it got substantially better over time. Like I think the first time it really started getting better was 2024. But last year at one point it was the case that I felt like I almost defeated it. But then at a very stressful and a very emotional and chaotic time in my life last year, it came back, and like not that crazy like it was before, but it was still bothering me. And at that point I never really actively tried to solve it, but just tried to live with it. So I thought to myself at that point in that phase last year, well, it's just a phase, it's going to come, it's going to go. It's just something I have to live with, I guess. But that's not the case. Skin issues are not normal. And I really want to emphasize this in this video, that if you have skin issues, then you have a deeper rooted issue in your body and it's telling you something and you can solve it. And yeah, so last year I started to switch up my diet completely. Like I told you, I switched diets before a lot in the hope of getting rid of my acne. And the diet I use now, this is how I eat every single day, is the carnivore diet. For those that never heard it before, it's a diet where you only eat animal-based products. So you eat dairy, you eat meat, you eat fish, you eat eggs, you eat cheese, butter, everything that's animal based. So I started doing that last year in November, I think. So I'm now more than 3 months into it. I think almost even 4 months. And it's so crazy. I really think that God tried to tell me for such a long time that I should do this, because I was thinking about doing it for such a long time, and not even for my skin, but for my hormonal issues, because like I told you before, I was trying to get my period on a regular basis, and I heard people say they completely resolved the issue. I don't know if you know the daughter from Dr. Peterson, and she solved a lot of medical conditions in her life with that diet. I think I was introduced to that diet even in 2023 or 2024, so that was on my mind for a long time. So now I actually tried it, and after the first week into the diet, I got my period back again. And before that, I didn't have it for half a year, for 6 months. So that was a huge victory. And over time, I started to recognize that my skin is getting substantially better. And I'm telling you, substantially. I think even 2 weeks into it, my skin started to clear up like never before. And till this day, almost 4 months into the diet, my skin is the best it has ever been. And let me tell you, when you struggle with skin issues, please give it a try. Please give it a chance. Please. It is going to solve this, or at least it did for me. And if it doesn't solve it for you, then try everything else I just mentioned before. But I think what it did for me was first solve my hormonal imbalance, and then after the hormones are balanced, then the body has enough resources in order to nourish the skin and care for the skin. Because when the body has a bigger issue to solve, a issue where it matters if you are able to get pregnant or not, that is much more important to the body than solving your skin issues. So I think that's what it did for me. And also looking back at a lot of content from people that I watched on the carnivore diet explained that very good. And I will link a video down below of a doctor who explained that it's so important, especially for women, but for men as well, to have enough saturated fat. And saturated fat is, in my opinion, the very thing that healed my skin. I eat so much fat right now, and not only did my skin improve, but I also lost weight. And that is so crazy for a lot of people, I think, to think about, that when you eat a lot of fat, well, it's impossible to lose fat, but that's not the mechanic behind it. That's not how your body works. Fat is very, very substantial for every single mechanism in your body. Well, I don't know if every single, but for a lot of mechanisms in your body. So yeah, that's the one thing I think healed my skin, very obviously. But not only nutrition is the most important part when it comes to skin, but there's also a second thing I want to give credit to, because like I told you before, I also had seasons where my skin got substantially better. For example, last year, at the beginning of last year at least, I saw a direct correlation in how much I slept and my skin getting better. I can remember 2022 and 2023, I slept so little and my sleep hygiene was not on point. I was going to sleep sometimes at 2 or 3 in the night and woke up at 7. So on a daily basis, I got very, very little sleep, I can remember. Sometimes even 4 or 5 hours or 6 hours. And as soon as I realized that I need to get more sleep, my skin started to improve tremendously. So nutrition and sleep are the most important factors. And like I said, in nutrition, for me, it's a carnivore diet, saturated fats. I also use organs, so beef liver and collagen, a collagen powder. So those two are the most important factors. But what I also think are important factors are a low stress level, a low cortisol level. Last year, like I told you, I had a season in my life that was very emotional and where I had a lot of stress. And in that season, at that time, my acne started to, or my pimples at the time, I wouldn't say it was acne anymore, started to come back a little bit. And as soon as that stress dropped again, my skin started to get better again. So as little as you want to hear it, yes, stress is important, but I would never say as important as nutrition and sleep. When you have very high stress and your nutrition is on a carnivore diet and with enough sleep, you will not see a big difference. Or at least for me, the past 4 months, I had never any flare-ups as soon as I got more stressed. So the second thing is positive self-talk. And you can laugh about it, but as soon as I started to not only I talk positive to myself and tell myself that I'm pretty whenever I see myself in the mirror, even though when I had pimples in my face, but also when other people started to tell me that. I can remember last year at the beginning of the year, a friend was visiting me and she told me so many times how pretty I am without makeup and that I don't have to worry about my pimples because they don't matter and that it's not as bad as I think it is. And at that time, that in itself helped me to improve my skin. As crazy as it sounds, I had very, very good skin at the time. And I think it's due to that very fact of having somebody speaking life into you. The next thing I think it's very important, I already talked about it, is sunlight. At the beginning, I thought that sunlight is bad for you, but then I thought, okay, I see improvements when I go to the tanning salon. Then I started to expose my skin again to real sunlight. And from where I stand today, I think that sunlight is the greatest anti-inflammatory and that no food you can compare to. And the last important thing I also mentioned before and made a big difference in my skin is drinking no tap water. In tap water, there are so many toxic substances that when you absorb it, of course your skin is showing it when you have toxins in your body. And also think about it. Your body consists of 70 to 80% of water. So you can eat as clean as you want, but if your water is not clean, you're still consuming toxins that your body has to get rid of in some way. And for me, that always showed in the skin. And as well using water filters. So I now only use filtered water when I wash my skin on my face and my body. Now let's get to the products I now use and the hacks I now use to this day. For washing my skin and my body, I use Aleppo soap. I can leave you the link below where I buy it. I think they ship worldwide. I don't know. I think though, even though they are a German company, like I wash my face, then sometimes also with Bioderma micellar water. I'll leave you the link below. And after that, I will use as a face cream beef tallow, only beef tallow. And for my body, I only use essential oils and I mix them. Like I always use almond oil and then maybe add lavender oil to it or mandarin oil or rosehip oil. And the next part not really correlates with my skin health, but I want to tell you anyways because I want to tell you how my skincare routine kind of looks like. So after all of that, I use gua sha to get the blood flow moving in my face. And in the evening, I also use cure tape to tape my face so that I don't get wrinkles. To this day, I use only Silcat cushion covers. I really feel like that helped me a lot with my skin health. Also to this day, I sometimes use red light therapy in the evening, but I don't do it that often anymore, but that helped me a lot at one point as well. And every now and then, I also go to the sauna. And this last part of this video will be all about reflecting on what it taught me and why I think God allowed me to go through it. You might even wonder why I post such a video here on my channel where I want to preach God and talk about God. And it's because Jesus not only told us to preach the gospel, but also to heal people and to serve people. And when I have the solution for something and I can help somebody heal, then I would be very, very selfish to not share it. So that's the reason why I share it, because it is my job as a disciple to help my neighbors and to love my neighbors. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, want to see everybody win. So let's get into it. One thing it really taught me is confidence is not based on my looks. For the longest time, I thought that I'm not confident because I have acne. But when I started to develop confidence, despite of my acne, that really showed me even more that confidence is not based on looks. And what's correlating with that is loving myself. I started to love myself even with acne, and started to learn that also loving yourself is not based on looks at all. Also, one very profound thing it taught me is in any circumstance, with every problem, look at the root issue and to not try to resolve the symptom. Every problem, every issue has a root cause, and by trying to solve the symptom, you will not get rid of the issue itself. What I also learned is to stop caring what other people think about you. Because of my skin issues, I always thought about what people think about me, what people think about my skin, how I look like. But over time, I really started to not care at all. And it really taught me to just do my thing. And even if people care about it, I don't care that they care about it, because I have confidence in myself and not in my looks. That is so beautiful. And also what it taught me is that beauty comes not from the outside, but from the inside. And you can look as beautiful as you want, but if your inside, if your character is not beautiful, then the beauty on your outside doesn't matter at all. And I think one of the most important things it taught me is healthy nutrition. When I tell you how my diet looked like when I was 12, 13, 15, 16, even up until 18, then it's no wonder why I struggled with hormonal imbalance and with skin issues, because I was eating like trash. I was eating processed foods. Like, yes, every now and then I got very healthy foods from my mom. She cooked every day, very good. But whenever I wanted to snack something or I was eating outside, I was never eating healthy. I was eating Nutella, I was eating sweets, chocolate, everything. I was eating seed oils, everything. Some people get away with it, but I didn't. And my skin showed me. Other people suffer with other things and maybe get sick very often. But for me, it was my skin, and I'm so grateful that because of this very thing, I'm such a healthy person right now. And I almost never get sick. Like, the last time I was sick was 2 years ago. I'm very grateful for that. So I think, yes, God allowed me to go through all of that to build my character and to form me to the person that I am today. And as well, why I think He didn't heal it right away when I found to God was to build faith and trust in God's character, on who He says He is, and have faith in God's timing and trust His plan. Looking at scripture, it literally had me develop the gifts of the Spirit. Like, the gifts of the Spirit are love, joy. I started to love myself. I started to have joy despite of my acne. I started to have peace despite of my acne. I started to have patience with the process. I started to be kind to myself, give myself grace. I started to be good to myself. I started to have faith and hope that it will heal and that God will heal it and that God will help me with this. And also gentleness and self-control. Isn't that beautiful? And that is the biggest sign for you that no matter what circumstance you're going through right now, if it's acne or anything else, that the very thing you're struggling with right now is so little and tiny compared to what God is building inside of you through this pain. In the end, the victory will always overshadow the pain you're going through right now. Always. With everything. And by saying this, I want to end this video with a scripture that will give you hope in your situation and helps you trust in God's character. And it's Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord. Thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. God wants you to have peace in the end. That being said, thank you for watching this video. I really pray that God shows this video to every person that needs healing with acne. And I pray that what I told you in this video when you try it out, that it is going to heal you. And I really would appreciate if you leave my channel a follow so that this video and overall my videos on my channel can help and heal many people. And also please leave a like and comment on this video, and see you in the next one.